All right, so we are live. So everybody, I have gathered a couple people today to talk about the Zoomlock because in my last video, I got beat up. Got beat up like you wouldn't believe. So I got a guy that's got a lot of experience in the residential side, a guy that's got experience on the commercial side, and the Sporlan rep. So the residential guy, as you know, is Brent. And then Brad Hicks is the commercial guy. And then Trevor, who is actually my rep from Sporlan. So how y'all doing, guys?
Well, what's up, Ralph?
What's going on, Ralph?
Doing well, doing well.
Doing
Thanks
well.
for having me.
Yeah, hey, Hollywood's here.
That's it. That's it. I'm excited for this, man. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of guys watching, and we'll get some good content and good questions coming up and stuff like that.
Yeah, because we have the chat going, and so all right, Trevor, you're the man of the hour right now because we're getting beat up, and there's questions that we don't have the answers to, and you do. So,
well, may not have all the answers, but you know, been in a lot of jobs, on and off a lot of jobs, seen Zoomlock. I've seen some issues with Zoomlock, and we'll talk about all of them. So I'd love to see some questions and get a mix. Maybe the most will be residential, but maybe some other guys doing some commercial work. That'd be great too. So
cool. Now,
how many guys we have watching?
There's 37, 38 right now.
Hey,
it'll grow.
Better than 4.
Yeah, better than 4. But those 4 are always here.
It's Ralph channel. He's got thousands of subscribers, so I'm sure there'll be.
Hey, I just hit 20,000 today.
Man,
right.
Congratulations, Ralph.
Congratulations.
So
Yeah,
I've been waiting, man. But anyway, so Brad, how did you start using the Zoomlock?
We purchased the Zoomlock in, I believe it was November of 2016. And basically how we came about is Carrier approached us on doing a 28-ton VRF system for them. And it was that was on the 7th floor that they were renovating, turning it into sort of like a clubhouse area. And they were gutting the floor itself and putting in all different kinds of things. But as far as the HVAC, they wanted to leave everything in place, all the air handlers, ductwork, the whole 9 yards, and sort of let us work around it. So my service manager, Josh, actually brought up the Zoomlock. And so we started researching it, and it just looked like that job was going to be the perfect job for it because it was just so tight up in the drop ceiling. Some of the ceilings are 16-foot high, 12-foot high ceiling, and just having torches balanced up on top of there or getting scaffolding or anything like that and lifts, it just seemed like it was a no-brainer for the Zoomlock. So we basically approached Carrier with it. They went to their engineers, and once they went to their engineers, we found out that they had already used it. They had used it in multiple places.
Nice.
And we're basically like, absolutely, go ahead and use it. So that's sort of how we got into it.
Cool. What about you, Brent? Brent, you're muted.
Hey, no.
All right, now you're not.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty neat, Brad. So Carrier actually approved it because that was one of the big things that a lot of these guys were wondering about the warranty issue. If the manufacturers approve it, and then if it voids any of the warranty or anything like that. And
this was Carrier Toshiba, and they came back and said that they had already used it. It had been approved by engineers, so green light.
Fantastic. Nice. And I went to my rep this afternoon after a fella brought it up on John Israel's video about when we cut off the bell housing of the service valve. I went to my Carrier rep and I said, "Hey, will this void the warranty?" He said, "Absolutely not."
Why would it?
Exactly, because it's the same principle as if you overheat the valve, and cause it to leak, or if the crimp's wrong, you're gonna cause the leak and have to replace the valve possibly. But the chances of getting that crimp wrong versus the chance of overheating that valve, you get a lot better chance of overheating that valve, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Unless you don't use a depth gauge.
Exactly. But
and I know for sure.
back to your question there, Ralph. Yeah, I got started with the Zoomlock because I own a company with my father. I run the HVAC side of things, and he runs the plumbing side of things. And they've been using the rigid Pro Press for plenty of years now, and I thought that was fantastic. So at the time I looked into it, and I saw Zoomlock was a thing that was coming in the future, and man, it really got me excited. So I went ahead and bought the rigid tool that I knew that the jaws were coming for, and so I prepared for it, and I got the jaws right when they came out, and I've been using it ever since, man, and it's been fantastic.
Now, Trevor, somebody asked if what the largest head is. Is it 1 1/8 right now, or is it 3/8 yet?
Yeah, right now it is 1 1/8, and the 1 3/8 will be out very shortly. I'm looking at mid to late August right now, so probably two weeks out from that 1 3/8 on the Pro Press jaw. And there's actually currently the Klauke tool is a 15 kilonewt, and there's a 19 kilonewt also coming out in the next few weeks, which will go up to 1 3/8. So I don't know if that's new news to a lot of people, but
what's a
anyway, just
kilonewt?
Kind of like that's the amount of force that it's putting on. I'm not trying to get too technical, but the amount of force that jaw is putting on. So yeah, it's more powerful. Let's just call it that.
It tells you on there.
Oh, on the bottom. Look at there. He's got his tool already. Cool.
Man, I should have brought mine in. Oh, by the way, Trevor, when I was at the supply house today, one of my buddies saw my video, and he said he's really interested in the tool. So I'm gonna let him borrow it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be right there with it though, but he's gonna use.
No, that'd be great.
Yeah, he's gonna use it on his job. One of the biggest comments that I saw is, I can braze faster than you can Zoomlock, and I'm like, there's no way anybody, I don't care who you are, you can braze faster than anybody can Zoomlock. And they said, well, but you're cutting the bell end off, so by the time you do all that, I can already have it brazed. And I'm like, no, you're still cutting a pipe. It's no different than holding a pipe in your hand and cutting it and cutting a bell end off. How could that make it any faster?
You're exactly right, Ralph. I saw a lot of those comments, and in your video and in John's video, you did some step-by-step things, and you were showing it was more kind of an instructional thing on how to do it. So yeah, you took your time and showed them how to do it. But if we sat down side by side and we did full pipe prep brazing versus Zoomlock, I'm talking about pulling out the nitrogen, purging with nitrogen, when you're brazing, all of that, there's just no way the brazing would stand a chance. It would lose every time.
Especially if you're in an attic. Now I know, like, the Zoomlock was created mostly for commercial, for industrial, running long pieces of pipe or whatever, and a bunch of joints. Not really made for us, but I can guarantee you, if I was in an attic and I had to braze, by the time I walked outside, turned the nitrogen on, especially in my area, because there's a lot of 2-story houses with a basement. So, you got to go up all those stairs. By the time I walked outside, turned the nitrogen on, walked back inside, I'd already had the bells cut off and Zoomlocked. There's no, you can't compare. And somebody said, well, y'all need to do a race. Me and Brent live really close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We could do it, but you know what? I'm not going to do it because I already know the answer.
No, I've thought about it, doing the race, and you're right. There's really the answer. It's not even a competition, and it wouldn't even be interesting to watch. It'd be so bad.
It wouldn't be. It would be like one of us would get laughed at.
Yeah.
There would be some excuse that would come up as to why it didn't work out in their favor regardless. So
right.
I'm sure.
Now, Trevor, you sent me several pictures of some buildings in Nashville going up.
Yeah, Nashville's a booming city for sure. And some of those guys have decided to use Zoomlock on the building. So got a 33-story high-rise in downtown Nashville called Sobro Apartments. Of those are, but it's crazy. But Yeah, they used 100% Zoomlock. It was carrier split systems, and they actually brazed in stubs at their, the facility. So when they went out and installed these, they could just crimp on, the fittings. And they've got something, I think the 9th floor, they've got 150 condensing units, and then the roof of the building has 200 condensing units. So they just lifted it up with the crane, dropping 20 units at a time, and they came by and crimped on every unit, and they'll be using it moving forward. So yeah, some guys say, oh, the fittings are expensive, and I don't. The fittings are pricey, but when you wrap everything up into how much labor you're saving, they didn't have to pull one fire permit. They didn't open a torch on the job. It's safer. There was just, flowing nitrogen, even the look of the job, it's just, there's so many positives about it. And they spent thousands of dollars on those fittings, but they did the math and they said we were on and off the job in half the time, so that's probably the main, labor is one thing, but there's so many other small things that some people account for and some people don't. But what I like to do, if somebody's really against it, I'll say, hey, do you have a job coming up? Just say, look, let me give you my tool to borrow, and I just ask that you buy the fittings so you have a little bit invested. And once they do the job, they order it. So it's for the most part success, and it takes a little time. Not everybody's cutting edge, and there's some guys I'll go into a supply house. They say, I've been brazing for 40 years. There's no way I'm putting one of those in, and I'm not looking to win that guy over.
Well, you won't. Trust me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's the same guy who's still using the digital gauges, or no, I'm still using analog gauges. Exactly. So, there's just some people that aren't going to change, and that's understandable. You're stuck in your ways, and that's okay. But the industry's changing, and it's good to see that technology, the tool technology is following, and we're getting there, and it's about time. We need to catch up. The automotive industry has some crazy technology for mechanics and stuff like that. So I think we're behind in that instance, but it's cool to see that we got new stuff coming out.
Hey, I tell you, I'm definitely a fan, and they came. Trevor and Dave Thomas came to see me. What was it, last year?
Dave Thomas.
Yeah, about a year ago.
The Wendy's guy?
No, not the Wendy's guy.
Yeah, he passed away, so it was pretty impressive. He came back.
From
I forget that he's
no. Dave Thomas is
national sales manager at Sporlan.
Yeah, and he lives in
Murfreesboro.
When they came to see me last year, they said, "Hey, and I could have actually tested the Zoomlock last year, but I was just like everybody else, I won't have a need for it. There's no need for it. I can just braze and and I was like, man, now I wish I would have took him up on the offer last year to test it out.
Then he found himself in an attic at about 130 degrees, and he thought, maybe I should have taken that Zoomlock.
Okay, Jason Jordan put a question on there. It says, what's the number of presses that can be done before the tool has to be serviced or recalibrated?
Yeah, it's a good question. 10,000 crimps. And so you just need to keep a log, on your paper and just kind of mark every time you crimp. No, I'm just kidding. The tool's got an internal counter, and there's going to be a red light that flashes at you when it's time for that thing to get serviced. And there's a manual in the back of your Zoomlock kit that you can pull out and kind of see what those lights mean. But there's an indicator light that'll flash, letting you know it's time to get that serviced. You basically send it off to a service site, and I don't know the exact cost. I don't know many guys that have quite gotten there yet, but I think it's maybe $100 or $200. You don't hold me to it, somewhere around there. But after 10,000 crimps, you've really more than got your money worth out of it, I'd say.
Oh, absolutely. You paid yourself back. With one of our plumbing pro press, our rigid pro presses, it reached its limit. It had to go in. We paid $250, and they kept it for a day, and we got it back.
Could you use a portable bandsaw? No. Trevor, you want to tell the story about the?
Well, I wasn't directly involved. I think there was somebody up in the Northeast. We go out and we we show Zoomlock. We talk about how, high quality, no leaks if you do the proper steps. And sales guy will get a phone call saying, "Man, we're halfway through this job. We started putting some pressure on it. It's leaking everywhere. You got to get here. We're pulling this stuff out." So you show up. In the first few jobs I showed up on, I was a little nervous too. But this sales rep in the Northeast showed up at the job, and he saw that they were using a hacksaw to cut the copper.
Oh my goodness!
And not deburring it or anything else. So they're jabbing that copper into that fitting, which does have 2 O-rings in it, one on each side, and we're having some leaks, which is. And so when I do a training, I say, people say, "Have you seen it leak?" I say, "Oh man, I've seen it leak bad." My story was in another job in Nashville as a school going up. Did a training for the contractor and his guys, and having issues. So I show up, and first thing I do is I say, "Let me see your kit. Where's it at?" Go to the kit, open it up. The tool's gone, and I see the Scotch-Brite pad and depth gauge, everything just kind of sitting in there nice and neat like you just bought it. No copper shavings in the deburring tool. Scotch-Brite pad looked brand new. So I knew right away that they weren't using the proper steps. I said, "Where's your tool at?" And they went and got a guy. He came up, and he's got a different shirt on than the rest of them. And I said, "You weren't in the training class, were you?" He goes, "Oh, I'm a subcontractor." So,
oh my God.
So the owner calls me in. He's all bent out of shape, saying, "Man, you came in. This isn't working." And he kind of see his face got a little red. I said, he wasn't in training. He's not. There's 5 or 6 steps that you really need to hit when installing this, and he wasn't hitting any of them. He took the tool, and he took the fittings, and he went to work. But you're gonna need to do more than that.
Well, Trevor, I understand it's proper procedure and all that good stuff, but to be honest with you, I'll be real honest with you. Sometimes I've caught myself. I haven't sanded it down real well, and I put it on there, and it's crimped just fine. So it's very important to do the proper procedures. I get that, but if it's not 100% perfect, it's not. You don't have. What I'm saying is, you don't have to spend all this time trying to prep this pipe to make sure it's 100% perfect before you put your fitting on it.
But you can't go back to Sporlan and say, "Hey, my joint leaked." You know what I mean?
Well, sure. It's as a sales guy, that's what we look for. And I understand there's real life situations where you're having hard to get to, or you didn't have your Scotch-Brite pad, or if you cut the pipe properly, there may not be any burrs there that's going to nick the O-ring. And you might be putting your copper tubing all the way and crimping right there, and it's not pulled out, and so that's fine. And it might be a new piece of copper where there isn't any scratches going down the pipe, but it's just you're exposing yourself a little bit more. If you're pulling copper off the truck, that might introduce a scratch. There might be some marks from the manufacturer that they stamp in. That could be where that O-ring goes, and that could cause a potential leak. So there's just things that and again, these jobs that we're talking about, every fitting wasn't leaking, but when they put pressure on it, they would see a handful of leaks, and you're not looking to see any once you're using Zoomlock. So
sure, I have not had any leaks in the field, and I've been using it for a while now. As long as I've had these rigid heads now, so it's probably been a year and a little, maybe less than that. 8 months, 7 months.
How many fittings would you say that you've used then in these 8 months?
I don't do real big jobs. I just do residential changeouts, and I'm a one-man show when it comes to the HVAC stuff. So I probably 50 fittings, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
How about you, Brad, on that job you did?
On just that first job alone, because we've used it on several jobs and even some residential jobs like the inverters, the Bryan inverter systems that we installed. But the first job, I think it was somewhere around 600 to 800 fittings, I think. We're probably in all, since we got the tool, probably in the neighborhood of like 2,500 fittings.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
and are you seeing leaks? Sorry, go ahead, Ralph. I'm not trying to hijack.
No, that's fine. No. But I'm just reading the comments as they go by, and somebody wants to know about the O-rings. How long are the O-rings supposed to last? Because that was another one. You're going to trust the O-ring.
Is that Q&A button? Is that what I need to push, or is it the chat button?
The chat.
I haven't seen any chat.
The pop-up chat.
Mine just
It
says me. But
now,
anyway,
it may be.
I'll let you guys.
But yeah,
I'll let you guys ask the questions.
What is on the O-ring?
The life expectancy on the O-ring is going to be over 30 years. And I understand that people are going to say you haven't tested it for 30 years, but they're getting pretty good with those time chambers that they use. And you know, they do cycles, and they do and these things are they're made of HNBR material, but they're lasting over 30 years. So that's the only way that UL has put their stamp of approval on Zoomlock. The International Mechanical Code, International Residential Code, all of the major code bodies have come on, done their own third-party testing. We've sent them all the information and all the fittings and the tools, and they put it through some rigid testing, and they've all come back and said we approve over 30 years, and we'll sign off on it. So that's helped us a lot. And then manufacturers like Mitsubishi saying this will not void our warranty. You know, the local Mitsubishi reps here, E-Solutions, they've purchased a tool, and they go out to their contractors before they sell a job saying we would actually recommend you using Zoomlock on the equipment because it keeps these VRF systems a lot cleaner than brazing. So we've seen a lot of success through that too. So it's starting to pick up a lot of momentum, and there's still things like this is great, just getting the word out. And so feel free to fire those off if you see more.
They want to know about the what type of refrigerants that
all right, so the refrigerants, yeah, any of the newer refrigerants, you know, obviously 410A, 407, you know, the only refrigerant that we've got some replacement fittings for R22. The O-ring on the HNBR doesn't play nice with R22 with the chlorine in that. So we do have a different fitting for 22. Basically, the current fitting that we have for 22 didn't meet the 30 year. I think it lasted about 15 or 18 or 20 years, something like that, depending on the cycles and stuff. So that's the only reason that one we needed to make something a little different. But you know, a guy said, man, we put a fitting on a 22 system, that kind of blow off, and it's not. You just after 20 years or so, you might start seeing issues.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to blow off, because if you look inside the pipe, like I'm holding one now, if you look inside the pipe, it creates a little groove. So it's definitely not going to blow off of there.
Yeah, it's funny.
The burst pressures. Go ahead, Brent.
Oh, I was going to say for the R22, before I knew about these R22 repair couplings, almost 2 years ago, I got the Sporlan guys to let me hold one of the Milwaukee or the Clocky tools. I got to use it for a week or two, kind of like you're doing with Ralph. And I put some of the regular fittings on my R22 unit that's at my office, and they're holding just fine. They're working just fine. You know, I just wanted to see how it would do.
Yeah, you keep us updated on that, Brent, since it's at your office. You'll know when they fail, huh?
Oh, exactly. And if it blows out one day, I don't care. You know, it's at my office. And the unit's almost 30 years old at my office anyway, so it needs to go. I figure when they start leaking it, then I'll change it.
Yeah, the working pressure on that 700 psi, but the burst pressure is 3,000. So guys say, man, sometimes what happens if it spikes 800, 900? There's not going to be any issue, and if you go higher than that, then there's going to be other things in the system popping off before the Zoomlock fittings.
And what about the temperature,
guys? Temperature is 250 with continuous operating temperature, and the O-ring's rated at 300 degrees. So pretty robust too for what, you know, we try to make everything strong enough to see any kind of, you know, whatever our systems are going to see, the worst conditions, you know, on the rooftop in 130 degree temperature, you know, in Las Vegas. That's what we've made this for, to see the hottest, the strongest, you know, freeze and thaw tests. You know, it can be used in supermarket applications. You know, we do think it's I mean, I joke about it. I go into a supply house or a contractor and they say, what's in the case? And I'll say the future and kind of chuckle. But future. I really do think this is what's yeah. So, simply put, but it's already changing the industry, but I just think it's going to be even more moving forward.
Absolutely. Now, somebody asked in the chat, Joe Shearer, he's asked me this a couple times, and I haven't tried it. I don't know the answer to this. The answer is if you have a fitting crimped on, and then you came across with like a grinder or oscillating tool, something, you cut the fitting long ways, could you possibly peel it back off the pipe and reuse the pipe?
I doubt it.
That's my thought. Is I don't know. I want to try it, but I still want to see what Trevor thought about that.
I'd like to see you try it too. Never seen that done, but
I don't think you can, because the reason I say that is because when you crimp it, it crimps into the pipe, and
Yep,
you would have to get it exactly back on perfect.
If it's possible, Joe will be the one to.
He wants us to send him. He wants us to send him a pipe, and I'll send him one.
We've got cutaways, and Rob, I don't know if I've shown you one of the cutaways, but it's basically just, it opens up and you can see the copper and the copper fitting and the copper pipe, and man, those two copper pieces are pretty well married after you crimp it. And so, if I were to say it can't be done, like you said, Brad, somebody will try to prove me wrong. So it probably wouldn't. It would be probably easier to cut that out and replace it with two more couplings if you're trying to replace a leak or something.
Right.
Is there? Okay, I got another question over here. Is there any? Are they going to make the jaws compatible for any other tools, like the bigger rigid Pro Press, or maybe the Milwaukee Pro Press? Do they have any plans on that?
It's in the future. I wouldn't say it's the near future, but I believe product manager was talking one day, saying that they want to try to maybe go up to 3-inch.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Right. Yeah. Right now we're really just trying to launch, and instead of waiting to have everything in place, we're kind of launching one at a time. So, 45-degree elbows are on their way out. Some other different kind of fitting options, Y fittings for VRF systems, and nice. we're trying to completely eliminate brazing if that's a possibility. Now, I will say that we'll be changing the game if we're able to come up with a fitting or a solution to connect to the condensing unit, for you residential guys, instead of having to cut off the bell end or braze a copper stub on there. That would be awesome if we had something to just put on that bell end. Obviously, we've been trying to work with the OEMs to, have an ODM, fitting just coming out there that you can either swedge out or put on a Zoomlock fitting. That would be.
Me and Ralph were talking about that the other day. That would be so fantastic.
Yeah,
just come out straight pipe.
Yeah, yeah. It would almost be worth it to Sporlan to offer, so much per unit that they put the valve on. 10 cents a unit, and you figure out whatever. That's a lot of money paid back. Somebody wanted to know how much a 7/8 coupling was, and the answer is $16.42.
Where's he live at? What supply house is he working with?
Exactly. Well,
that number may vary. That's a good average.
Yeah, it's somewhere around $16.
Sure. I think they average, my average cost on them is anywhere from $5 to $25 is like the most expensive fitting on there. So
yeah,
it's about the same for us in South Carolina. Somewhere between $5 and $30, depending on the size.
And I'll factor it into my residential changeout price whenever I do it. I put in an extra $50 to $100 for the fittings, because I know it's going to be a little bit extra.
It shouldn't be treated any different than any other materials that are getting quoted on a job. It should be the exact same thing.
You're exactly right.
Shut up.
I like you guys.
Hey, that's why we want to do this, man. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. They got any more questions on here?
And I think you asked earlier about leaks. How many leaks that we've had? We've had quite a few between all the jobs. The only thing is, I can't think of any of them that weren't user error. Hundreds of thousands of fittings, because there's multiple people on the job. So you got some of us that are putting them together, that are prepping them, and using the depth gauge, and then kind of moving on. The next guy's coming back behind with the Zoomlock and connecting everything. So there was a couple instances where the pipe wasn't pushed in all the way, which caused the leak. It wasn't pushed past the O-ring. There were a few where it wasn't quite straight. So when they went to push the pipe into the fitting, it actually grabbed the side of the O-ring and slit the O-ring, but it was all user error.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And we're not against, if there is an issue, we want to find it and deal with it.
If you prep the pipe and the pipe is straight and clean, reamed, I haven't ran into any issues.
Yeah, I trust the Zoomlock. I trust the Zoomlock better than my own brazing. I really do, because I know if I prep it right and I crimp it right, it's not going to leak. My brazing, I always have it in my back of my head. That thing may leak, but really with Zoomlock, I'm very confident in it, honestly.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's nothing worse than going to a unit, working on a unit, and need to braze in 7/8. You can't get to the back side of the unit, and there's a bunch of pine straw or leaves or whatever, and you're trying to do it. You don't want to burn the valve up, of course. Zoomlock would be great in those situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I was thinking that some of these guys in the YouTube videos, they were saying that the Zoomlock takes away brazing, and brazing is one of the skills. So now the Zoomlock is bringing in unskilled labor, do-it-yourself homeowners, and giving hacks a better chance at succeeding in our job. I fully disagree with that. I fully disagree with that.
Nobody's going to spend that much money. Absolutely.
What do you think about that, Brad?
I think I made a post about that earlier.
Yep.
If you're a service technician in the field and your argument with Zoomlock is that it takes away from the skill, if all you have to offer is brazing skills, you're in deep trouble.
That's great.
I mean, there's so much more to it than that. I mean, I don't intend it to slight anybody. I mean, we all have probably, that's the same thing I sort of said when it first came out, or I was first introduced to it, is you kind of get sort of offended. I've built up these skills over the years, and now some tools coming out that's going to take away from that, but it's all about perspective. It really is. I mean, like I said, with those fittings, brazing is a very, very small part of what we do. It's not like somebody can go out, buy the Zoomlock, and now they're HVAC tech. It just isn't that simple.
Well, exactly. If that was the case, then framers would be out of a job because Home Depot sells wood.
Exactly. Well,
exactly.
I tell you what, if I don't have to carry my heavy torches up a attic, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
that's a great
crawl space
point. That's a great point, Brad. I've never heard. I get that every once in a while with taking away their skill, and I can't really. I've never worked in the field hands-on like you guys have, but hearing you say there's so many more skills than just brazing that we bring to the table. Zoomlock, it's basically a better tool in your tool belt. It's like using a hammer or using like those framers like you're talking about. Are they still pounding those nails in? Are they going through with a nail gun? It's like, no, man, if I get done with this job so quick, I'm going to be out of work. It's like, no, you'll go and do something else.
Yeah. And like a roofer, if he's got a nail gun, I'm sure that there are some instances where he still has to break out a hammer. It's going to be the same thing with Zoomlock. It's going to be a tool that you can implement some places, and other places you might be better off brazing. But
yep, absolutely. Ralph came into an instance the other day on that air handler where he couldn't crimp a fitting on the air handler, so he had to braze it in. It's not 100% nowadays. I hope it will be soon, but we can't use the Zoomlock 100% in all situations right now.
I did a job
I think
today.
That's the mentality people have too, that it's like all or nothing.
Right. I did a job today where I changed the dryer on that video where the dryer was plugged up. Mm-hmm. I changed that dryer today, and there was no way I could have used the Zoomlock. No way. There was just no way. There just wasn't enough space after I cut the dryer off on the inside of the unit. Just not enough space. Yeah, I mean, and even the outside, I could have used a Zoomlock dryer. I just didn't have one. And that was the instance where the pine straw was there. But I still use my torches. I'll never get away from that. Nobody ever will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my torches, I got my Stay Bright, and I got my Zoomlock. I'm gonna fit it one way or another, and I'll get it done.
Yeah. So, yeah. Even even if I have to mix brazing and Zoomlock, I'll do it. I don't care. It's just the less I have to do it. I know people are like, why would you want to do both of them? Well, sometimes you just have to.
I've done it many times. I've brazed a stub on the unit, and while I'm at the office or at the shop, braze a stub on it. Then went to the job, crimp it, and Trevor was talking about they did that at a big job, commercial job and stuff. So there's many ways to mix and match. You just have to figure out how it fits for your needs.
Yeah, a lot of jobs have that kind of, we call it a hybrid install with brazing and Zoomlock. And I don't hate torches. There was a 9-story condominium going up right outside of Louisville, Kentucky. I think it was in New Salem. I think this was in February. Contractor caught some insulation on fire. He thought he put it out with his fire extinguisher, and that night it burned to the ground. So it was empty, but just about near completion. And I don't know who takes responsibility or who's losing out on money or who lost their jobs, but Zoomlock, wouldn't have had that issue. And I know it's like, we've never had a building burned down, but you can hear people, I'm sure all you guys have stories where you've gotten scared or burnt your shoulder or caught something on fire. I mean, it's just something that if you can avoid it, I mean, it is amazing that we're opening flames in these tight areas with houses and wood and insulation and stuff that's flammable. And people don't think that's crazy. You introduce something like Zoomlock and people are like, man, you've lost your mind with that crimp. And I think it's interesting. Brazing, I think, is pretty dangerous as well. So,
well, we had a contractor here. You met Walter the other day.
Yeah.
He was telling me about one of the contractors 2 years ago that shops at Ed's there. One of his guys was brazing somewhere, and the insulation started smoldering, and he didn't know it. And that night, the house burned down.
What kind? Was it a house?
Yeah, it was a house.
Yeah.
Did that happen when I was a teenager? The house that was across the street from me, the AC guy caught the house on fire and it burned it to the ground. I remember watching it out my front door that night, burned down, and it happened that the AC guy did it. And that was before I knew anything about AC. And then I've always remembered that every time I braze now. I'll always remember looking at that house in flames, thinking, "Holy moly!"
No wonder you don't like brazing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm the advocate for Zoomlock. I got traumatized as a child.
You saw that house burning down. You said, "I want to become an HVAC guy."
Yeah, that was my motivation.
Well, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely going to keep using it. And the guys can beat up on me all they want to. It's my choice to do it. Like I said, I'll continue to cut the bells off until Sporlan or somebody else comes out with a valve, or I know they all have it, but the manufacturers gets on board and says, hey, let's give them a choice.
You know what? If a manufacturer came out with a straight stub,
I would switch brands.
I would change brands 100% if it was decent. If it wasn't somebody who starts with a G, I might not use it. I would change brands.
I think the more of you guys that are using it, the more of this stuff going on. And if you got 1,000 guys installing, say somebody throw out a brand.
Carrier. That's what.
All right. So say Carrier. So Carrier does a poll, and they find out that there's 1,000 residential contractors that say, if you put this, a straight fitting at your units, I will switch to Carrier, and say they're using every other name in the book. I mean, that's what's going to move the needle for these OEMs. Obviously, we're going in and talking to them about how great Zoomlock is, but if the customers are saying, and eventually, maybe 10 years from now, most OEMs are going to at least offer this connection option for you guys. But the first few manufacturers that come on board are going to hit a gold mine for a few years until everybody else catches up. You know what I mean? So again, we're kind of talking future stuff, but like here's a few guys that have just voiced, hey, I'd switch brands to the first manufacturer to get ODM fittings on here, straight fittings for me to just pull up, put out a Zoomlock coupling, crimp on, and go. I mean, that'd be again a game changer.
Absolutely, and there wouldn't even be a thought about it. I'd change immediately, and that's just it's that important. I catch myself like I sent a picture to Ralph today of a Heil that was a 1.5 ton Heil heat pump.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of the ICP and carriers have a shorter suction line stub at the service valve. This one had a longer one. And I was excited. I sent a picture to Ralph. I said, man, look how long that thing is. I said, man, I wish all of them would come with that one that long.
Yeah, I said it the other day, and as bad as I would hate to leave Ed's supply, if somebody else, I know American Standard has a longer one that you don't have a problem with the valves, but they're way on the other side of town.
Yep.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not driving that far over.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, they don't. I mean, not when it's an hour and a half away without traffic. So, I'm not going to go American Standard unless they brought something closer.
Well, then you're still having to cut off the bell ends, so it saves you a little bit of gives you a little more copper, but you're still having to do that step. But
exactly. Now, Trevor, I will have to say that I had to wait forever for the rigid jaws to come out, and man, it was torturous because I had to call, and I'd call in and they'd say, oh, I'd be out in a month, and I'd wait another month, call in, oh, I'd be out in 2 months, wait another 2 months, oh, in 3 weeks, and just kept going on and on and on for over a year probably at least. And it was I was chomping at the bit because I'd already used the lender tool. And I bought the 200, the rigid 200, just for that reason. And I was just chomping at the bit to get it, man. And it just took. It was a, I don't know. It was a patience thing that I didn't have. Let's say that.
Huh. I've never heard of that before, Brent. Sorry that happened. Next question.
So, Trevor, how many Zoomlock tools are out there? How many contractors are actually using it?
Well, let me go back to Brent first.
All
first off, to every HVAC contractor waiting on the rigid jaws, I am sorry. I know it's been painful, and I ask most days I get a call about it. So it would have been helpful maybe to hold off on the literature showing that we had it in May 2016, because we're August 2017 and people are still having a hard time. They're coming out slowly, so I'm hoping we can fully launch that here shortly. And then Ralph, the question: how many tools? I think over 1,700 right now.
Wow.
Have been sold, and some contractors are buying multiple ones. So I think 1,500 contractors are using it on a pretty consistent basis now. So we've got we've hit over 2 million fittings that have been installed in the field. So we do feel confident that this is going to be. I feel good, selling this to a contractor and having them install it, especially seeing all these larger buildings going up, then putting their trust in it. There's another building going up. I asked him how much Zoomlock he's got in there. He said about $40,000 worth, which seems like a lot. But he said he just laughed. He goes, "There's no way I'm going back to brazen on this size of a job." And he just does those larger commercial jobs, but it's one thing for a sales guy to go in and try to sell it to you guys. It's another thing to be on the job site, walking in, and then the lead guy looking over and being like, "I wish I would have had this 10 years ago," So it's been fun to sell, that's for sure.
Now, Brad, when y'all did that job, how long did it actually take you in comparison to what it was supposed to take?
When it was originally proposed to us, it was supposed to take 3 months, is what they estimated. Once we got the job, got the Zoomlock approved, they were supposed to come out, have their guys come out at, I believe it was like 25% complete, 50%, 75%, and then commission. And they came out, I think it was their second visit, and we were ready to commission the unit. Again, it was supposed to take 3 months. It ended up taking about a month and a half, somewhere around there.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So the old thing about the argument with the guys are well, this is not OEM approved. The manufacturers will never approve it. They'll void the warranty if you use it. Guess it's not true, is it?
Not for Carrier, at least.
Well, yeah, it's just like when somebody says, well, what about brazing the mini splits? You can't do that. They'll void the warranty if you braze the line sets together. I'm like, come on, really?
Yeah.
Really? The whole unit is brazed up. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know Mitsubishi, Train, Carrier, Mitsubishi, Train, Carrier. There's another one. They've all sent out bulletins saying, just because they've had so many questions, this bulletin basically letting people know that if you do want to use an alternate form instead of brazing, and it'll say like Zoomlock, it will not void the warranty. And a lot of times we'll leave it at that, but I think Mitsubishi is starting to go some steps further, just to say this is actually improving our warranties. Less warranties with people using Zoomlock, and so they're starting to encourage people to use it, which is kind of the end game for us.
Yeah, because it would make sense because of the flares. You send a young installer out that doesn't know how to make a flare. And what's he going to do? He's going to mess the flare up, and then the unit's going to run low on refrigerant. And then what's going to happen? It's going to kill the compressor.
Sure. Or if he's brazing, really, honestly, how many guys really purge with nitrogen when they're brazing? Probably 10%, I bet, because it just doesn't happen out there. So
how many percent did you say?
I said probably 10%. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, it really is. Just depends on what I'm doing. If I'm working on an old R22 unit that's 20 years old, I probably won't do it.
Well, I'm saying what percentage of contractors do you think? I know me and you'll do it, and Brad does it, whatever. Yeah. But what do you think of contractors? What percentage do you think?
I think it's a pretty low number. Well, I tell you this. I was in a Goodman store one day. And the manager said this. He said 95% of the people that walk through the door have no business walking through the door. But they got to sell it to them because they have a license, or their boss has a license, or whatever. So I would say the percentage probably, depending on the brand, it all depends on the brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, it's not, if it's less than 100%, then
yeah,
we do know that's a fact. Yeah, then it's not getting done. It's like everybody flushes, right, with the flush kit.
No.
When they change out a compressor.
No.
I know everybody. 100% of the contract.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So it's the only way that nitrogen, brazing with nitrogen, is going to really come on strong is when a lot of the old timers retire and stop.
And also with social media as well. If you go back probably 5 years ago.
Oh yeah. I'm a better tech. Look, I'm a better tech because of what's happened on YouTube in the last 5 years.
Absolutely. It's opened up my eyes to all kind of things, and Zoomlock's just one of them, man. But all kind of stuff,
Hey Ralph, are you a better tech because you've got the camera going when you're working?
All right.
Sometimes.
We got termites. Termites are good. Now that was the fellow that me and him were having a nice debate. He's in the chat here. We were having a debate. He was talking about what would void the warranty. Termites are good. The fella down there in the picture down there next to my head is Trevor. He's a Sporlan representative, and I'll let him tell you about what the warranty is and how that's covered and whatnot.
So is he wondering about the warranty voiding from the manufacturer unit, or is he asking about the Zoomlock? The Zoomlock, I'll just say the Zoomlock warranty that we offer is 5 years on our fittings. For many manufacturers, defect, and the tool has a 2-year warranty. So, that's what we offer. The fitting was a 1-year warranty. We did extend that to a 5-year warranty because, we do believe in our product. Our Sporlan's owned by Parker, who's a pretty large corporation, and they do 1 year on everything that they sell. So we've actually had to get kind of an addendum to push that to 5 years. But my biggest thing is if you have issues with Zoomlock, reach out to your local sales rep. Reach out to Ralph. This has happened multiple times. So reach out to Ralph. He'll say, hey, I got somebody in Montana that's having issues with this. I think there's about 2 HVAC guys there. So one of the guys was having an issue. And then I reached out to the rep, our sales engineer that works out there, and they connect with them, and within a day or two they're out on the job site. So I mean, that's what's one thing great about social media. You guys can voice your opinion, and I mean, Ralph, you're a one truck guy from Canton, Georgia.
Hey, look, and I will tell you this much. Trevor has been really instrumental. I mean, he really has. Like he said, if somebody had a question and they didn't know where to go to, they would send me a message, and then I would send it to Trevor, and Trevor would send it up the line to who it had to go to, and we would get them an answer back. I mean, I don't work for Sporlan, but I believe Sporlan is a great company.
Fantastic company. I don't know of any other company that would sit down and have this conversation with us like this. There hasn't been one.
No, nobody except like Jim Bergman and the people that are actually. And you know what? Trevor takes ownership of this tool or the smart tool. Anything that he does, he takes ownership in. And if every manufacturer was like that, and I know we keep harping on it, Brent, but it's really true. There's no reason for them not to with social media nowadays.
Okay. Termites Are Good says, when the next tech may not have a zoom lock and needs to cut it off. Yeah, there's a good question. What if the next tech needs to cut it off?
So cut it off.
Exactly. If you need to cut off, you're talking. He may be talking about at the service valve. If it's not leaking, you don't need to cut it off. There won't be any reason for it. And when I'm installing it, I'm going to make sure that it's not leaking at that point, and I'm going to warranty it for the life of the warranty. Now, if it's leaking and the customer decides to call a different contractor, well, I don't have any control of what the other contractor does, and nor do I care, to be honest with you. She should have called me.
Well, it's no different. It's no different than if the contractor before used Stay Bright, right? And the contractor she calls doesn't use Stay Bright. Me personally, I'll admit it to all you guys. I can't Stay Bright for anything. I'm going to have to go get lessons from Brent. I just can't do it. I tried and tried and tried. I just can't do it. So if their Stay Bright joint is leaking at the valve, what am I going to tell the lady? I can't do it. No, I'll figure it out. So, you have to think outside the box with this stuff.
And that's no different than going behind any other contractor. When you go out there, you find all kinds of stuff that people have done that you have to cut out, redo, whatever the case is. There's not really a difference. If Mr. Smith hits his unit after you crimp the fitting on there and I come out and I don't want a zoom lock, guess what? Getting a new service valve. That's
exactly. And he wants to know if will the manufacturer warranty the unit because you altered or designed the performance. Well, by using the zoom lock, you're not altering the performance whatsoever.
No.
Or the design.
No. Yeah, no, I agree with you. You're not altering the design nor the performance whatsoever. I contacted my carrier rep tonight. I sent him a picture of what I do, how we cut off the bells, what Ralph did, what I do, and I asked him point blank, will this void the warranty? He said no. And then Brad, he's done several commercial jobs, and they actually suggested that they use the zoom lock on the larger commercial VRF stuff. So there's not an issue with the warranty. There won't be an issue with the warranty.
No, because they don't care. They don't care how their stuff gets installed. I mean, they want it installed correctly, but how we choose to, if we decide we want to put a union on the line set and it work, they don't care.
Hernandez says you lose 5 BTUs per zoom lock fitting.
Well, Hernandez is our jokester. You know what I mean? So
he did his own research.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a BTU gun that he uses.
Yeah,
it's funny, but I don't see the warranty ever becoming an issue on that. It's actually, to me, it's safer because you're not going to overheat that valve. There's so many guys out there that don't even put a wet rag on that valve. They don't do anything. They just they told you go at it.
Yeah, we get a lot of valves back at Sporlan that are sent back for warranty, and they're burnt to a crisp. Insides are charred and power head's black, and it's just like that's what happened. It's been overheated, and the main issue usually is contamination in the valve. You got a port that's the smallest smallest opening in the system is going to be an expansion valve. So we hate it on for our expansion valves plugging up or something, but we say put a catch-all in there and keep the system clean.
There you go. Now, Sporlan, Trevor, in the Sporlan lab, when it's hard for me to describe the big lab that y'all actually have. Y'all have like a little supermarket setup, right? With all the refrigeration banks, and now I've told everybody that thing is all Zoomlocked. I didn't see a fitting there that wasn't Zoomlocked.
I'll have to look at that next time. I remember you saying that, and next time they pay me to be out in the field selling, so I don't go back but maybe once a year to the factory, but I'll have to look at that, and I'm sure there is Zoomlock in there. It's like I said, supermarket. There's a supermarket racks in there that
right, and it's up above the supermarket rack. I mean, it's like in the attic kind of like deal.
But they definitely do. Yeah, they've got Zoomlock in there. To say that that's all every fitting, I'm not 100% on that.
But it's pretty close. I mean,
yeah, you walking through, you'll see it. Okay.
98%.
Now, do a little plug. I know, Ralph, you guys have the Working Joe's podcast, and then you other two guys have one?
Yeah, Zach and John have the.
That you guys do.
Zach and John have the Cowboys.
Yeah,
me and Zach have the Working Joe's.
Yeah, I don't have a podcast. I just come on and hang out on Ralph and Zach sometimes. I pester them. I say, hey, can I come on? Can I come on your podcast tonight, guys? Yeah. Can I come on your podcast tonight? Yeah, but no, it's fun. It's cool. I recently went on Brian Orr's podcast, who does the HVAC school, and we talked about the Zoom. We talked about the Zoomlock. Hopefully that'll come out. He said next week, so hopefully that'll come out next week.
Nice. We appreciate it.
Go ahead, Trevor.
No, I was just gonna say, we appreciate you guys, working with us and talking about the product. And honestly, we want you all to be honest as possible. So if there's something, any product that's not working well, you, as a listener to a lot of different podcasts as well, you want to hear it straight, and you guys are working out in the field, so you wouldn't promote something that you don't believe in or you use yourself. So it's cool to have you guys talking about Zoomlock, because it's opened up a different market for people. It's hitting ears that people who haven't heard or seen about Zoomlock before. So
well, no, it definitely is, and I know guys are because what day was it that I put out a video on the Zoomlock, Zach put out a video on the Zoomlock, John put out a video on the Zoomlock, and then Brent put a video in one of the Facebook groups. That was 4 videos on the Zoomlock in one day, and it's like, man, we're just cramming it down people's throat. But I don't really feel like that. I feel like that, hey, look, we're showing you what this tool can do, and it's up to you to decide whether you want to buy it or not, or try it. We're just giving you a good example of how the thing can be used. And if you don't think it's for you, don't use it. But it works for us.
Oh yeah. I think that's absolutely a good idea, or a good statement there, Ralph. Because we're just out here showing guys what it'll do and showing them what it is. I'm not trying to tell you they absolutely need to buy it. I'm trying to show them what it is and what it can do, and how it can help you if you choose to use it. That's up to you if you want to or not.
Oh yeah, Trevor, is there? Now I know Sporlan doesn't like to use any tests in your product, but somebody just brought up a good point. Any tests with leak seal and Zoomlock fittings, because that's my little. I show this to everybody that comes on the Hangouts. It's my little stop leak jar, and it's done some terrible things to the lid and the copper on the inside.
So the stop leak. Wondering what
it would do with the O-ring.
I don't really have. I'm not sure what testing has been done for that. Yeah, I mean, Sporlan's view on things is, if there's something flowing through that system other than refrigerant and oil, that's a contaminant. And I know it's helpful for you guys out in the field, but just from the factory standpoint, we can't test it's just hard to test every different type of leak seal, stop leak, bubble gum, whatever. And some of them are good. And I know some of them are helpful. So I'm not saying they're bad that anybody's using them. We don't do the testing. It's kind of a thing if you wanted to put something like that in with the Zoomlock. They may not have an issue.
That's so interesting. I haven't even really thought about that. But what if somebody comes back behind you and you have a small pinhole leak on one of your Zoomlock fittings,
Right.
and then they try to put in some of that stop leak? That's interesting. I would like to see what would happen with that. But I hate leak stopping. I won't ever use it anyways. And but that's just my personal opinion on it. But I'd like to see what happens with that.
Well, it's going to be interesting in the next few years what happens, because any talk on the tool going down in price, Trevor?
Well, we're just kind of looking at it similar to, we were thankful that that Rigid what came out, years before us, because they kind of plowed the soil, so to speak, with the crimping technology. Their tool hasn't really come down in price, even though they've sold quite a bit. I'd imagine ours is going to probably stay flat, but I think the tools, we got the second generation 19 kilonewton coming out shortly. It's got some better features, so it's kind of thing where the price might stay the same, but the technology and the tool and the power and everything else is going to get better.
Cool.
Now let me ask you, Trevor, are y'all still doing the promotion where if you buy 350 fittings, you get a free tool? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, 350 fittings, any size, any type. Can you do 350 3/8 fittings? Yes, you can. I always get that question like they're sneaking something by us. Hey, you can do 1/4 inch if you want to get the cheapest way you can, but 350 fittings, free tool, 5-jaw kit, and you can actually do that up to 5 free tools. So, I've had a contractor buy 1,050 fittings here in Nashville, got 3 free tools, 1,750. I think I'll get you 5 free tools, and then you have to buy currently the 3/4 and the 1/4 inch jaw doesn't come with that. So, but a lot of people have come on board with that. We launched that in January, and I think I want to say I'm guessing. I think somebody 1,000 tools that way. So. Someone's blowing their nose in the background. Ralph,
Not me.
That's my wife over here in the living room. I'm surprised y'all heard that.
Put it on mute.
She just said, "Oh my God."
Yeah, we heard her.
Yeah.
Hey, how many people we have listening or watching right now, Ralph?
Let's see, 89.
90 now.
That's big time. I'm gonna plug in my computer so I don't fall out on y'all.
Okay.
Now, okay, I got Termites. Termites has another question in here. He's hammering us with a bunch of questions. He's worried about
good.
He's worried about the contraction from the hot and the cold. The expansion and contraction of the fitting and whatnot. Have you had any issues with that?
Nope. I mean, the O-ring allows it to expand and contract, which is actually going to be a little better than a braze joint. Sporlan's owned by Parker. Parker has hundreds of divisions inside of Parker, so we tapped into the resources with the O-rings division that Parker has to help design with this O-ring. I want to believe that's engineers and those guys. That's all they do is make O-rings. And honestly, when I see an O-ring, I see something that's dark, and I really don't know what it's made of or what it's doing. But there's people that spend their whole career working on O-rings, and they test it like the freeze and thaw test, because obviously we don't want to come out with something and then it be in an application that sees something that hasn't been tested for and fails, because we would go away quickly. And I think that already that would have come to surface already. Zoomlock's been in testing, I think over 6 years now, with a lot of different test labs and stuff, that it's just being watched, and we would have seen issues at this point if there were any.
Sure. I've said it before to Ralph and to some other guys. if all of a sudden the Zoomlock starts springing leaks, I've got to know every one of my new installs. I'm going out of business. It'll put me under. But I don't worry about that. That's not even a question in my mind.
Yeah. We can all draw unemployment together then if that happens, because I've got my face on a lot of Zoomlock as well.
Challenger had
I have a lot of phone calls.
And we call it new technology all the
Go ahead.
I was going to say we call it new technology all the time, but stuff like this has been used overseas for many, many years. Fitting. No different than inverters. Everybody says inverters are new technology. It's the same thing. They've been used in other places. It's just new to us.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, solenoid valves have had O-rings in it for years. Nobody questions that with the refrigerant flowing through there and everything else that gets introduced to the system.
Yeah, automotive refrigerant circuits are the same way.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a Teflon seal on the TXVs. You know, there's all kind of things like that.
Yeah. It's just new, you know, and I don't mind termites questions. I appreciate. I want people to ask any question that they have, and you know, I don't mind if people really are concerned. I don't mind talking with them, but he's got some good questions. So yeah, keep them coming in.
And their Sporlan rep, they can always get a hold of the rep in the area, and talk to them if they need to.
Sporlan, us sales engineers, we have been told multiple times that Zoomlock is our focus. It's our priority. So it goes before anything. So Ralph, you and I were talking on Friday. You said you've got a potentially Zoomlock job. What, Wednesday the next week? And I drove down and
met me here.
3.5 hour drive to give you my tool. Yeah, met you there Tuesday. Yes. Any issues, any questions, like wait
a second, Trevor, hold on.
A training or something.
Hold on a second. Not only did Trevor drive down here, he went to Nashville, the Nashville Eds branch, picked up the fittings that I needed, and built them at my Eds, and brought the fittings with him.
I never got paid for that shipping rate. I've got a shipping rate for doing that. I never got any money from that. So
let me talk to Dennis.
All right.
Now, Trevor, do you know if I don't know the answer to this? I thought it might, but I don't know. Do the rigid Zoomlock jaw, will it fit in a Milwaukee tool?
If the rigid jaw fits in that Milwaukee tool, like I know some of them do, then our jaw will fit over there as well. Okay. So, yeah, if you've got so just swap over that rigid plumbing jaw, and if it fits on the Milwaukee, our Zoomlock jaw will, our Zoomlock rigid jaw will. There's, for people out there that maybe don't know, there's the Cloudkey tool has got a different jaw than the rigid jaws because of the construction of the tool. So,
fantastic.
Good question.
Kimber Smith asked about the service on the tool. Trevor said 10,000 crimps till it needs service.
10,000.
Yep. And then Zach asked over here, what do you think the oldest Zoomlock fitting is in use?
Over 6 years right now. 6.5, maybe getting on 7 years. We Washington, Missouri. We had a lot of trial jobs going in there because that's where Sporlan is based out of. So just to be close, keeping an eye on it, and they're all running great.
Oh, fantastic.
So you got a few more years, Brent. If it fails, at least 7.
Hey, by the time it fails, we'll need a new unit.
Exactly. Just cut it out with a unit.
And that should have some decent expansion and contraction in that climate.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Hot and cold for sure.
I was definitely hot there. I'm never going back there in July ever again.
Yeah, you said you went.
Game.
We went to a Cardinals game, man. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh,
horrible. I was telling them, I was like, you guys, we don't have to stay on my account. We don't have to stay on my account. We was in the bleachers, and Oh man, it was horrible.
No, Ralph.
Yeah, it was like 111 degrees on the field.
Yeah.
Holy moly! No, we got hot weather here. It was hotter up there, Ralph. Than
Yes, and more humid. There's something about that St. Louis area.
Wow.
It's really hot and humid.
I think it's the river going through there. I don't know what it is, but it was
It's
bad.
horrible.
We left in like the 6th inning or something.
Yeah, it was horrible. And we were tired. I mean, we were going all day long, because we did the tour of the lab and the factory, and then we went and hung out at the ballpark, and it was an amazing experience.
Yep.
So anyway, well, guys, we've been on a little bit over an hour. Unless anybody, Brad, you got anything to add?
No.
I'll give the guys.
Not unless there's more questions.
I was gonna say, let's give the guys one more chance to ask any questions they got. If you got any questions, type them in the chat. Let's get it. Let's answer any last questions you got.
Oh yeah, Zach said about the vibration of the line. Does it decrease or because of the fitting or versus brazing?
I don't know the data on that, actually. Yeah, you saying like a vibration from a compressor or something like that going down the line. I'm not sure if I'd be hard to say that it would increase the vibration, but maybe neutralize. It maybe stays the same. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see what we got. What's the price of a 3/4 90 cost? Oh, $15 or so.
Yeah, something like that. Zoomlock on the compressor.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, if you've got enough copper there, it's good to go.
But it's
the problem.
It's a swedged fitting on the
compressor. You ain't cutting that one off.
Yeah, you can't cut.
No, there's hardly anything. Yeah, there's hardly any room there. I mean, you could again go into that. You braze a stub on there, and there'd be no issue having Zoomlock right next to that compressor.
So what's the shelf life of the O-rings in the truck? Seems like it would be the same as
10 years.
10 years.
I mean, well, I'm just throwing that out there. If it's rolling around your truck in 10 years and you haven't used it,
then yeah,
give it to somebody that can.
Well, O-rings dry rot. That's a big issue with the O-ring. It's a dry rot. Now, when it's put on a piece of pipe, it's crimped shut. It's got a vapor seal in there, watertight vapor seal. So there's nothing that's going to dry rot it out. If it's rolling around in the back of your truck, it's exposed to atmosphere, and then that O-ring will eventually be wore out and get dry rotted. I assume, that's what I'm thinking.
I think I don't think that's an issue. I've got my little book. Anybody needs one of these?
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, Trevor, the
K1 catalog, you can your Sporlan rep will get you any amount of these you need as well.
The one that you left at Ed's the other day, it disappeared off the counter. So they need some more. They told me to tell you.
All right. I'll send some their way.
How about availability of the fittings from each distributor? Are your distributors pretty well stocked with the fittings?
Depends on the distributor. You've got the Bakers, the Johnstones. Yeah. No, and so some will say that they've got it at the warehouse, which they may or may not. And then you've got your independents, like my independents, Ed Supply or Fenco Supply. They'll have it in stock, but there's a lot of different, with these tools, the tool promotion especially. You get like 2 contractors, one got 2 free tools, one got 1 free tool. So that's over 1,000 fittings that just got yanked off the shelf. Biggest issue with that is our lead time is still around a 2-week with the fittings. So turnaround in the summertime can get kind of thin. So yeah, you know what? I've had to run around a little bit with contractors looking for fittings, and the first 2 places they went, they were out. So I've had to pull from other markets or something. So,
and we usually order.
It sounds like a broken record.
Yeah. Ordering
in bulk helps. If they come in boxes of 100 and then individual packs of 10. I did see the frequently asked questions. Are there any shelf life concerns? No, shelf life of our product is estimated at or above 30 years. So.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, our local distributors, none of them keep the Zoomlock fittings on the shelf. I've just now gotten my local RE Michael to start stocking them, because I went in there and kept ordering, and then they get them in special order in a week or so. So finally they started stocking them on the shelf. So they got a shelf full, but it's I got a truck full. I got more than probably all of the suppliers around here combined. Just because I'm not gonna
Now, are they?
that.
I got a couple here.
What's Sporlan? Do you know what's
A couple.
There we go. That's the
Damn.
boxes. He's got 30 sitting right there. I was going to ask you what supply houses that sell Sporlan that are around you?
Is that Brad?
Yeah,
pretty much
either
all
Brad
the
or
same ones
Brent.
that Brent. Pretty much all the same ones that Brent has. I think we have fairly similar distributors around.
Yeah, we have Mingledorf's, United, Ed's, RE Michael.
Yep.
So
yeah, because there's Parker wholesalers and there's Sporlan wholesalers. There's actually Parker reps and then there's Sporlan reps or sales guys. So that's more on our side than yours. Reach out to either one of them. They're both pretty sharp. So
yeah, well, that kind of a weird thing, to be honest with you, Trevor. Like my local RE Michael store, that's where I shop, just because I get great service from them. I buy all my supplies from them. I don't buy my equipment from them. I buy my equipment from somewhere else, but I buy all my supplies there because they treat me very good. And I don't care the price. I'll pay a few dollars more just because they treat me well. But they said they're not an authorized Sporlan dealer, so it makes them harder to go through the process to get the stuff. But they got it now. They got it on the shelf and whatnot.
Okay, so they shouldn't have any issues with Zoomlock because RE Michaels isn't approved. So yeah, and you know what? And sometimes the larger companies, the issue is like stocking. Some companies they can't bring in stock if they don't sell it in 30 days. They get dinged or charged, from their corporate. So that's it's different. It's a different world. Independent, locally owned wholesalers and kind of the large Watscos and of the world. It's just a different type of environment, so there's pros and cons probably to both. I enjoy working with the independents, maybe a touch more, just because you're talking with the owner face to face and you ask them to bring something in, then they can do it. And then you go to somewhere else and they'll say, have you been to corporate in San Diego, or have you gone up to Glen Burnie, or it's like go to Philadelphia if you want to get this stocked in Nashville, Tennessee, and it just doesn't it's hard, a little more difficult. So
Termites just asked a question: if I will give the customer a choice of using the Zoomlock or braze fitting. And you know what? Honestly, that inverter job I did, I showed the guy the fitting, and he's a commercial contractor, and he was like, "Oh man, that's great." So he didn't care.
Yeah.
Because you know why he didn't care? Because he trusts me and he trusts my judgment. So there you go. And Zach, there is a Zoomlock ball valve.
Well, back to that thing Termites is saying, I'm putting those parts in. I'm warranting them. So it's
so
where do you draw the line? I'm gonna start letting him pick the fittings I use. Okay, well then I'm gonna start letting him pick the pad I put the condenser on, or I'm gonna start letting him pick the Armaflex I use. What you can't nickel and dime that and put that all on the customer. The customer has faith in you that you're going to install it and you're going to install it correctly. And at that point, my answer to that would be like, no, I'm not going to give them a choice because I'm putting it in. I'm taking all the risk.
I think Termites actually needs to get with the Sporlan rep or a Parker rep, either one, and sit down.
Where's he out of?
Where are you out of, Termites?
We'll see what he says.
He's living in the woods. In the woods somewhere.
Well, his screen name was. I wonder if he even does HVAC. He may do pest control. I don't know.
Not with a name like that. Well,
no. He's asking some good questions.
Oh, GA. We're in GA. Me and Ralph are both here. I'll come see you. Let me tell you something. That's how me and Ralph became friends.
Exactly. Oh, he's in Macon.
Okay. Well, that's
Macon, Georgia.
That's 2 hours away.
South.
So
right?
me and Brent, go ahead and tell the story.
Yeah, I met Ralph because of a debate just like this here. Ralph, when the iManifold came out, Ralph didn't like it, and I was a proponent of it. And so I lived in Savannah at the time, so I made the 4-hour drive up here to see Ralph with the iManifold to make him a believer. And from that point on, me and him have been friends ever since.
Yeah, and there's a video on my YouTube channel.
Yep. So, you know, I'll go to Macon. Or, you know, if you want to drive halfway, we'll meet halfway and we can do what we can, you know, shoot. I ain't even going to go halfway. I'll go to Macon and we'll run some service calls and we'll Zoomlock some stuff. Let's do it.
That'd be sweet. You guys can do a Braves for Zoomlock trial too.
Oh, there you go.
That's it. That's it.
This would be it wouldn't be as good of I guess a show without Termite's questions. So we appreciate you chiming in.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty much he feels the same way about the Zoomlock as we did about the iManifold.
That's it.
But it's good that somebody's asking questions and then instead of just dismissing it altogether.
Right.
Why don't
go ahead,
Ralph? When you're finished with my Zoomlock kit, connect with Termites if he wants to use it on a job, and he can borrow mine for a while.
Yeah. Now I have to give it like Clay, the guy I was telling you about today. But I'm sorry, but you ain't getting that sucker back, Trevor.
I know. I'm gonna have to. I know where your shop is. I'm gonna have to come break in. And,
I hope you secured a credit card.
No, we laugh.
I think Ralph has persuaded enough people from his YouTube things with the Smart Tool and Zoomlock to earn it. Yeah. So if he keeps it, then I'll just have Sporlan send me a new one. It fell out of the back of my car. What can I say? Actually, this is YouTube, isn't it? I can't do that. Never mind.
They can see it.
You done gave it away, man.
Now, Trevor, I got a question. Do they make a case for the rigid jaws yet? Like
Yes.
just a little separate case? Because I got just jaws hanging everywhere right now. I don't have anywhere to put them.
So once all the jaws come out, which again, Roadshow coming up.
Oh yeah, tell them about the Roadshow.
Exclusive. Do. That was my exclusive music. I don't know if you had anything like that, Ron. But no, so the Zoomlock Roadshow, we've got a couple trucks getting ready to hit the streets, and we're working with Parker and Sporlan wholesalers. That it's basically the size of a UPS truck, except it's got a Zoomlock wrap, and the side's gonna fold up. And in about 10 seconds, it's kind of an automated thing where the whole side opens up, stairs drop down, and you can walk in. There's going to be a test stand where the contractor can actually put Zoomlock fittings together and then put it in a chamber and ratchet that pressure up just to kind of give some proof right there. We're going to have even more different offers with the Zoomlock Roadshow. There's going to be tools and jaws and everything stocked on the truck. There's going to be a dedicated driver and a dedicated kind of worker, and then the local reps are going to connect when they are stopping in its area. So the dates are still getting finalized, but we've got one going up the East Coast, one going up the West Coast. So and I'm sure Atlanta's going to have something coming in.
Yeah,
probably in the next 3 or 4 months or so. Yeah,
I asked Dennis about it, and what happened was it was really kind of top secret, and one of the supply houses got the date, and they posted it on Twitter before Sporlan announced it, and so it was like, well, now we have to announce it.
Let the cat out the bag.
Yep.
Do you say you have the date then, Rolf? Go ahead and share.
Well, I don't have any date. It's on Zoomlock.com. I believe the Roadshow is on there. I can look at Trevor's messages, or not Trevor, I'm sorry, Dennis's messages.
Yes, sporlanonline.com, and then click Zoom, and you'll be able to find it that way as well. I had a baby a few weeks ago. I've been a little bit out of the loop as far as sleep and everything. I should know when.
Congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's awesome. Got 2 now. So.
Oh, great, man! Fantastic.
Life is good. Got a 22-month-old and a newborn, so I'm changing a lot of diapers.
It's hard to believe because I remember when Trevor had the first one. You know what I mean? So it's been a while.
I got one that's 3 and 4. I got 2 that's 3 and 4. So I know what it's like to have close together like that. They keep you on your toes, my man.
Yeah, I think that the the road show is going to start up north for us, and it's going to work its way down south. But I looked at the dates up until March, and it was still up north. So I think if you go to Zoomlock.com, you'll be able to see the road show dates there.
Yeah, it said they were going to update more dates as it comes along. So that'll be cool. Yeah, I'd like to just go and see the Zoomlock truck and see what.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, it's definitely
the truck will be
coming.
Cool. Yeah, seeing that drive down the road, you'll be like, holy cow! And it'll be neat to see, and just kind of, again, just like we're doing now, just generating some more buzz, and if we land some more contractors doing that, then great. So
yeah,
should be fun.
You know, and you guys are going to get tired of seeing it from my end anyway, because if I do a job when I do a video, of course I'll post it, of course, because that's what I have a YouTube channel for.
Okay, Zach asked, is Sporlan plan on making the Zoomlock TXVs?
Probably what's going to end up happening, similar to what we've done with our accessories. So currently we have ball valves, side glasses, and solenoid valves that are all ODM fittings. We looked at having like a half a Zoomlock on there, but I think the direction we're going is just having a male fitting coming out to be able to slide the Zoomlock coupling on. So yeah, we don't have that connection availability yet, but that's coming shortly because, like we talked about with the brazing issues and overheating. So we've got most every other component currently with the ODM fitting. So
cool.
Good question.
Fantastic.
Oh man, they said if I don't return the tool, they're going to ban me from buying Zoomlock fittings.
Who said that?
In the chat there.
That's funny.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we had anybody from Sporlan watching. I think Dennis said he was maybe going to watch. But...
No, he said he had his brother-in-law was doing a barbecue, but they'll watch it.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube forever. So
wow.
Yeah. And
watch what you say.
Y'all had a company-wide email sent out, didn't you?
Yeah, most of the salesmen were on that, just saying that we had this going on. So,
well, cool.
Fantastic.
Hey, if y'all ban me from buying Zoomlock fittings, I'll just get them from Brent.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll just do secondhand type thing, and I'll mark them up, make money off of Ralph.
There you go. We'll meet in the alley somewhere.
There you go.
So anyway, now it's been about an hour and a half, you guys. So anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, this has been great, man. I really enjoyed this.
All right,
I appreciate you having me on.
Here's one question that Kimber wants to know. Will you warranty a faulty fitting and damage to units? Well, that would be like,
say that one more time, Ralph.
Would you warranty a faulty fitting and damage to units?
I don't know how you're going to damage a unit, but
I don't know unless it runs out of refrigerant.
Well, yeah, I guess if it runs dry and you got a compressor that dies.
But that's no different than a braze joint. You can have a braze joint leaking in it.
No different.
And it kill a compressor. So.
Well, people say, oh, 5 years warranty. Come on, you got to give me something better than that. I said, how much does brazing warranty give you? And they never give me an answer because there's no.
You're exactly right. Let's see. There's another question. Justin Hernandez says, he said a free jaw kit. He said the ad on the side of the roadshow truck said a free jaw kit. He was wanting to know what that was about.
Yeah, so if you're there at the roadshow with the truck, you can use 350 fittings to get the rigid jaw. The rigid jaws can be your free kit, basically. You know, if you had the rigid tool and you say, hey, I don't want another tool to work with, you buy 350 fittings, you get the rigid jaws instead of the Clouky tool and jaws.
Oh, fantastic. Well, see, that's good to know, man, because we may be putting another truck on the road here in the next couple months. And if I do that, I can buy 350 fittings and see about getting an extra rigid kit. And that way I got the rigid tool, and we can use it on water pipe and refrigeration pipe. That's good to know.
Well, here's one thing actually I forgot to mention, but the promotion, I believe it's still like this, but it's for contractors that are new to Zoomlock. But it's also a case-by-case basis. So like with you, if
Oh, so it's new. So I'm excluded because I've been promoting the heck out of this thing.
But you'll get a free T-shirt, Brent.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. I know that's understandable, man. I get that.
but connect with me offline, Brent, and again, case-by-case basis. We've been able just to work with and figure something out, because I know at the end of the day, if you've got 2 tools instead of 1, you're gonna be buying more fittings. So again, it's for new contractors, but there's it helps to connect with your local Sporlan rep. I'll just leave it at that.
Cool, man. Makes sense.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, any other questions, like I said, you can get with your Sporlan rep. They'll be happy to answer anything that you might have. And I don't know. I hope that this has been pretty informative to get rid of some of the doubts. We blew the braze thing away as far as it takes more time to use the Zoomlock than it does the braze. We blew that out of the water because there's 3 guys here telling you.
Yeah, Brad had that job, 3-month job. It took him a month and a half. I'll probably use that in my trainings. It's like the more we hear about that, just the more with stuff like the time it saves.
What's the difference between the R22 and the HFC O-Rings?
R22, I believe, is a neoprene O-ring,
Mm-hmm.
and every other fitting is going to be the HNBR.
Cool.
Because now I'm like, if people watching this, they're like, man, what's Trevor talking about out there? So yeah, you can go ahead and keep talking. I'll glance down at this to make sure. It's different material. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, just different material. So anyway, I guess we're going to close this up. So any final thoughts, Brent?
Just guys, if you got any questions about Zoomlock, feel free to reach out to your Sporlan guy, or contact some of us online. We'll be I'll try to help you as much as possible.
Yeah. Brad, you got anything?
There'll be plenty of Zoomlock posts on the internet, so if you have any questions, comment away.
Yeah, and also if you can't get anybody, go on the Facebook, go on the Sporlan page and message Dennis.
Yeah,
Dennis will
get you hooked up.
He'll get you hooked up with however he can. Trevor, you got anything?
Those things. Dennis answers those questions all the time. Like
he does.
I'll send him a message late at night and he'll answer right back.
Yeah. So it just depends.
He's our media man. So if he's not responding, there's something wrong.
Yeah. So yeah. So they've really taken this social media stuff seriously, and they will get you an answer.
I mean, we noticed it right away when we came out with a nice professionally done Sporlan YouTube video, and after a month it had 1,600 views, and then Ralph puts something out saying, hey, this is a smart tool I just got, I started using it, it's pretty cool, and then they look over and it's got like 12,000 views, and we're like,
there's something to it.
There's something with connecting with these contractors, because I mean, you don't use YouTube to go on and watch commercials,
Right.
And what you guys are doing is hands-on stuff, which is great. And so I'm glad to see Sporlan connecting with you guys as well, and working with the podcast and just all that they're doing. And just want to say thanks for having me on. You guys are doing great work out there. And I know you're informing a lot of people. For every one person that messages you, there's probably 25 that are getting information from you that don't reach out to you. So
that's definitely true.
Appreciate that.
I had a guy tell me the other day, and I wouldn't have known this, but he said, as soon as I saw you using the smart tool, I went out and bought one. I didn't even know that. And there's no telling how many people that not just me, but other guys that use different tools or whatever, that the guys will go buy it because they saw it being used. And they're like, oh man, that's great. That's great. So,
well, that's what they wonder how it works. And it's like, they can go buy it and figure it out. And if it's not what they wanted to use it for, then they've wasted money, or they can watch you guys using it. It's like, man, I do those same kind of jobs. That's what I was wanting to see if it would work on that. And now they know. So
right. Well, cool. Well, guys, we're going to close up. So thanks for watching. And any questions, just get with your rep, or there's plenty of information out there. So anyway,
yep.
Y'all say goodbye.
See you later, guys.
See you later.
See ya.
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you.